Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My name is Honorable Ramu. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the motion as moved by the Honorable Member for the Raleigh. Mr. Speaker, for us as leaders to do good for this county, it is appropriate for us, Mr. Speaker, to come up with such a motion that goes a long way in helping to reform this county's educational sector. Mr. Speaker, I want to take this House through some statistics on the educational system in this county and its performance. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the year 2017, out of 3,409 students who sat for KCSE examination, 86%, Mr. Speaker, that accounts for around 3,000 students, actually attained a grade of D+ and below, Mr. Speaker. And out of these 86%, Mr. Speaker, 11% of them, that's around 494% of them had E. Mr. Speaker, when I looked at those statistics, only 3%, that is 96 students, only scored C+ and above and made to the national universities and colleges. Mr. Speaker, I don't think this is a grade that as a county we are going to be proud of. Mr. Speaker, when Kenyans went through different systems, for those of us who have lived long, like Honorable Barigi of Takaba, the former system, that is the 7423 system, which was existing from independence, actually had some gaps. And the gaps it had was that the people, the students that it was churning out, were not responsive to the labor market. And therefore, the country said the task force was formed and the system was changed 32 years ago. And I was actually a pioneer of that system that is called 844 system, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this system was also found to be defective in some way, it had gaps. Mr. Speaker, it did not cater for pre-primary 1 and pre-primary 2. That is the kindergarten section of it. It only caters for primary, secondary and university. And that system also lacked competency and skills in terms of managing agricultural sector, construction sector, and the fishing sector, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, just early this year, the Minister for Education by then, Honorable Matiang'i, launched a new system of education in this country. Mr. Speaker, the system is 2 years, pre-primary 1, pre-primary 2, 6 years of primary, 3 years of junior secondary, 3 years of senior secondary, and 3 years of tertiary level of education, Mr. Speaker. This system was found to be labor-oriented, and we as Mandera County, we were not exempted from this. Mr. Speaker, as we are speaking now, we don't know how the educational system in Mandera County has tried actually to implement this particular system in this area, in Mandera County. Mr. Speaker, when I looked at the statistics of Mandera County, the ECD centers were 175, which is catering for 16,000 children with 209 teachers, at the ratio of 1 teacher to 80 students, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Member for the Raleigh, wants this ratio to be reduced to 1 teacher and 25, and I hope, honorable members, that this figure becomes realistic in this county, of which it is very possible because, Mr. Speaker, this is the 3rd county with the highest share of the national cake, and therefore we are capable of doing anything and make things possible for the sake of the people of Mandera County, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when I looked at my ward in Ramu, Mr. Speaker, my ward is very peculiar in 2 aspects. One, It caters for all the tribes in Mandera County, the 5 tribes, and we are only second to Mandera County, Mandera headquarters. And we also house the largest IDPs in this county, Mr. Speaker. The only school which was meant to care for these children, Mr. Speaker, 162 people actually learn under the tree. Mr. Speaker, 40 years ago when I started going to school, I can confirm to you, Mr. Speaker, that I started going to a class, not under a tree. It is unacceptable, Mr. Speaker. 45 years, so many years after that, our children and grandchildren can be able to learn under a tree. Mr. Speaker, that particular school, the Dar es Salaam school, if the governor goes to that school today, I'm sure he is going to sign a visitor's book under the tree. He will not have an office to go and sign a visitor's book. Mr. Speaker, this is not the kind of system that we should be proud of, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, 32% of these children who are in the study classes are actually malnourished. The Honorable Member for Dergale has rightly put it that for us to retain these children in school and to attain some of these goals that we are aspiring to achieve, then the feeding program in this school is unnegotiable, Mr. Speaker. We must actually provide